Cheese ball and a half, Matt. Welcome back to Irons United for our match preview against Arsenal as Arsenal host West Ham in their first home match of the season and West Ham's first away match of the season. It doesn't feel so long ago that we were just talking about the season coming in and out, but we've gone through the smallest pre-season, etc. We know that Arsenal followed up their Community Shield success with an emphatic opening day victory over Fulham last weekend. You know, the confirmation of Aubameyang signing his new deal with Arsenal has given them a much needed boost alongside Mikel Arteta building this Arsenal side that everyone's kind of talking about. And then we flip on to West Ham, Matt, who come off a terrible defeat to Newcastle last Saturday. And then, you know, got a little bit of momentum with Charlton after the Carabao Cup victory. But it's definitely worlds apart right now. I'm Anton, this is Irons United, and I'm joined by Matt. We have got an Arsenal guest coming on very soon. Matt, Arsenal, thoughts? Have I made you feel positive, negative? Where you at?
I was worried anyway. I mean, even taking away the Newcastle game last weekend, it's 2 wins in 5 years, you know. And I think the one win we had at home in the last 5 years was under Emre when Arsenal weren't very good at all. You know, it took a very poor Arsenal side for us to win. Our record against them is absolutely terrible.
Really
we couldn't be opposite, you know, mood swings in terms of the table and start the season and happiness in the camps. You know, couldn't be a worse time to play Arsenal, to be honest.
Well, you know, you just mentioned there with the history, and before we bring on Tom from in a second, Arsenal fan coming on, we'll just have a quick look at the last little few games we've played against Arsenal, the head-to-heads. And you can see here that the last time West Ham beat Arsenal was in January 2019, thanks to Declan Rice, which you will have seen in our intro video, his celebration. And for any Arsenal fans watching this, it's only but positive West Ham images we put up, and there's not many to choose from. As Arsenal fans, you'll be able to choose plenty, of course. And then before that, you got to go as far back as when Slaven Bilic was in charge. And obviously, we beat Arsenal 2-0 at the Emirates. And that was the start of the last season of the Bowl-in. So, yeah, it's not good reading, is it, Matt?
Look at that. That's awful. That is, what's that? 1, 2. It's like 1 win in the last 10 games. Was that or something stupid?
Yeah.
It is awful.
We need to remain positive somehow. So, listen, with no further ado, let's continue the positivity, not by bringing on Tom from the Gunner Talk TV. Tom, how you doing, mate? You okay?
I mean, I'm feeling great after your words there. I'm feeling absolutely buzzing about this game now, mate. I'll tell you.
Tom, thanks for joining us, mate. I know you've been on the channel a couple of years ago, so just for anyone that's watching, just give them a bit of an introduction to yourself in the channel, please, mate.
I'm Tom. I run the Gooner Talk over on our side, amongst other things, covering Arsenal daily content. We kind of do it in kind of a more sort of a straight down the line, tactical look at things, looking at transfers and stuff. So it's really in depth, and we kind of like to look at it as a bit of a niche side of things to what you usually get Arsenal-wise.
Yeah, cool, mate. I mean, I think there's probably kind of a similarity between what we do, because we really go into depth about statistics and tactics and what potential transfer, what the players could bring to the club, and you know, even if they're linked to us and don't come, but what would they do if they did come to the club? How would they fit into the squad? So yeah, it's a good idea. But yeah, I mean, you're buzzing off the back of the fact that your captain Aubameyang signed a new contract with yourselves to stay at the club.
Yeah, it was the longest drawn out contract signing I've ever witnessed as an Arsenal fan. It's felt like this has been dragging on for so long now. And then obviously there's a lot of interest in him. He's for me, he's the best goal scorer in the league. He's up there with the likes of Aguero. I think that just the way how much of a killer he is in front of goal, when he gets those clear-cut chances, he rarely ever misses. He was the most important signing that Arsenal made this summer, easily. It doesn't matter if we sign a Thomas Partey. It doesn't matter if we sign a Houssem Aouar, which the two key guys have been linked to. He is the most important thing that we got done this summer, because replacing him is nigh on impossible. thinking about the player that we had to replace in Robin van Persie, it harks back to that. Before that, Thierry Henry. You just can't replace the types of goals and the amount of goals these players bring, and Aubameyang is that. So for Arsenal to finally do that, where we keep one of those legendary status players, is such a necessary thing for the club to do.
Yeah, I mean, he's really brought, as a West Ham fan looking in upon Arsenal. I mean, listen, Matt, we've got to be brutally honest here. There is an element of jealousy of what they've achieved in the 90s, and Arsenal fans will be so disappointed that things haven't been, tickety boo and not meeting the heights of what they used to meet prior, when the latter years of Arsene Wenger, etc. But still, though, you're chipping in with the odd FA Cup and the odd League Cup, or and still bringing trophies home. Something that West Ham fans are so desperate for. Not an Intertoto Cup, which is what we've had back in the 90s, but not a Championship playoff final cup. But is it are Arsenal fans? Is it as bad as what we are? It's portrayed to see. I've been looking in on the outside.
It's the thing about Arsenal is that their fans are, and I'm coming from a perspective of running a fan channel and having fans on and listening to fans in our live chats week in, week out, is that we're a very reactionary bunch. It's fair to say. It's not, you don't get any 5 or 6s out of 10s with Arsenal fans. It's 0 to 11 in the space of 2 seconds, no matter what happens. You just have to look on any Arsenal Twitter post and read the replies to see what you get with Arsenal fans. And I love it for that fact. And it means that there's lots of debates and there's lots of controversy and there's so much to talk about with Arsenal because everyone has a different opinion. But what everyone is seeing, or nearly everyone, I'd say 99% of people, the people that have got their head screwed on is what I like to say, know that Arteta is turning this club into something that we haven't had for a while. And that's just a collective, like a group that actually know what they're doing, a group that are cohesive, a system that works. Everyone knows their roles. There's no questions. We even had Gabriel come in who doesn't speak a word of English, and he's talking about how he's already integrated. He knows exactly what he needs to do. So things are looking really up for us, guys. And I completely have empathy for you looking in and thinking about the envy side of things. But for me, West Ham have got such a group of players where there's potential there. I look at some of the signings you're making, like Bowen. That's the type of thing that West Ham need to do on a more regular occasion for me, is sign those players that are going to be coming in. They know the values of that club and can actually take you forwards. You've gone down that route of sometimes signing the likes of Felipe Anderson, signing a Sebastian Haller, which looks on the surface, on paper, great. And you need some of those. But I just get the feeling sometimes that West Ham just isn't being run the way it needs to be for the club that it is. I'm sure I'm just harking and echoing everything you've said on every show, maybe.
You are, mate. But Tom, it's so interesting, Matt, isn't it? When we get the opposition fans on the show, and every time we get opposition fans on the show, they are, you are seeing what we are feeling. Like you see it, it's quite obvious, where a lot of, you may get some pundits that go, oh, but you've got this, and the situation at West Ham isn't as bad as what people are thinking. Well, no, hold on a second. It is pretty bad. It's pretty dire, to be honest. And, like I said, there is that element of jealousy. Matt, what's your kind of thoughts on what Arteta is doing at Arsenal in general?
I mean, even if you go from the first weekend, you can see that since he's come in, straight away he went, no, this defensively is not good enough, There is now structure. They actually know how to defend. You can see that they're not all over the place. You don't just run through an Arsenal team anymore. For me, they're a solid shout for a top 4 place this year. For me, they're in 100 times better position than Man United, who managed to finish in the top 4 last year.
Yeah.
Without a doubt, he's brought in players, I think I saw a stat the other day. They've now got like 8 centre-backs on the books. But they're actually, he's literally looked at that defence and gone, I gave David Luiz a shout. He's not worked. I don't like Mustafi. I don't like Socrates. Get rid of them. Bring in defenders. Forget bringing in these flary ball-playing guys that are going to dribble it out from the back and do whatever. I want defenders because we need to defend.
Yeah.
And that you need that. I know. Like Steve Bold would do it from before. Like, you need actual defenders. And then you go down the other end and you've got Aubameyang, you've got Lacazette, you've got Pepe, you've got Willian. He's got the balance in the team that Arsenal just haven't had. And all of a sudden, they're contenders again, which realistically is where they should be. The money they've got, the stature of the club, the size of the club, it's where they should be. And it looks like, hopefully he's given enough time to do it, because what he's done in a short period of time that he's there, if you give him 3-4 years, they'll probably be back up competing again if he's backed and treated the way that he needs to be done. Because he's shown that he's, in that time as Man City with Pep, he's developed his own style of play. Some of the goals they scored, even recently, like fantastic goals. I think there was it one or two of them from Fulham, where it was from the goalkeeper all the way through the pitch. That's how Arsenal used to play, and it's coming back to that.
Yeah, you've got to look at, there's the similarities, I suppose, is the stadium move, although, there's no real comparison if you look at the Emirates to the London Stadium in general. But, there was always going to be, I can't really think off the top of my head of clubs that have moved stadiums and had immediate success from it. It's taken maybe a few years, and finally Arsenal, as well. I know this is not an Arsenal fan, but talking here, but you're looking in from the outside and you think, stick by the manager, give him the time, give him the backing he needs. And you look at a player like Willian, for example, what is he, 30, 31, 32, is he?
Yeah.
But he's still at the top of his game, Tom. And you can see that from the game against Fulham. Did he not end the game with 2 assists or something at the end of the game?
Fantasy Football gave him 3 somehow, but yes, it was 2 assists. But no, it was really funny because obviously we cover on the channel like upcoming signings and players we're linked to, and when it was Willian, the response, I won't be unfair and exaggerate, but it was probably about 60% of the people watching, I would say, were not happy with it at all. They were really annoyed by the fact we were signing another Chelsea player, because before that we'd got David Luiz, we got Petr Cech, and I get that. I understand that people want to see players that are coming in from outside that are really quality and coming from like the 23, 24, 25 sort of age. But the thing is that Chelsea were desperate to keep Willian. They really were. And not only that, but they have a rule when players turn 30 at Chelsea that they only offer them 1-year extensions. And they offered Willian a 2-year extension. And that goes to show you how much they want, that they were willing to break that structure that they've implemented and put into so much focus. Arsenal offered him a 3-year deal and they got him. It means he'll be at the club until he's 35 on a very decent amount of money. But I think you saw from just one game against Fulham that there is still the quality player in Willian that Arsenal have needed in terms of creativity on the wing. Pepe came in, but he's just... It's not quite been the £72 million signing that you'd expect from a player like that.
But that's a prime example, Tom, though, isn't it? It's like you've got a player who's 31. What's Pepe? Like
he's 23, 24,
23, 24. So the difference in transfer value is one's free, one's 70 odd million quid.
Yeah.
And the difference is, I know clubs are so desperate to bring in like a young and have that youthfulness, but you do need that experience. But let's be brutally honest here. Willian still plays like he is young. He does not play like he is a 32-year-old, 33-year-old coming out of his career. That's the reason probably why Arsenal and Arteta pushed out to go and get this guy, because they've got maybe 2 more years, three potential brilliant years out of Willian, and that gives them 2 or 3 years to try and mould the next player in that role. And that's the right thing that clubs should be doing, not just solely knocking back the experienced players because of their age, solely because of that. And Willian's a proven example. I mean, when you signed him, I've got a cousin who's an Arsenal fan, and he was delighted. I mean, I know it's over 100k a week.
Yeah, it's about 120, I think.
But I mean, he's going to probably pay that back to you in abundance. I mean, he's got records against West Ham. He likes to score against West Ham. As we know, he's another one of those players. And I'm not trying to give you more confidence, but you don't really need any more confidence because you're up against us. That's the biggest thing. But it's no denying that you've had problems defensively. What's your kind of look at in the defence of Arsenal?
The thing about Arsenal and what Arteta did immediately is he carried on sort of with what Unai Emery had left off and what Ljungberg and then taken over was with this back four. And the thing with the back four is that Arsenal's midfield is just not astute enough to cover the back four. And then beyond that, when you actually get to it, as you guys brought up, like you had the likes of David Luiz and Mustafi, who at the time were making regular, consistent mistakes. He decided to change his sort to a back three, which I still constitute as a back five, in my opinion, because you've got Bellerin and Maitland-Niles playing in those wing-back roles. So for me, it's still a back five. And that meant that suddenly we had cover, is that when Arsenal were on the attack, one or both of those wing-backs would push up. But on the defence, we would always have at least 4 or 5 defenders at the point where we could cover ourselves. If we were left in a position, I don't know if you guys watched it, but the game we lost against Chelsea, at the Emirates 2-1, where we were 1-0 up until like the 77th minute. Then Jorginho scored, and then Abraham scored to knock us out right at the end of the game. That game's a perfect example of how Arsenal blew it in big games with a really frail defence. And then Arteta switched it. And that back three has absolutely solidified our defensive structure. And that's why we ended up winning the FA Cup, because we played Chelsea again and they just couldn't break us down beyond the first goal that they scored. And we just countered so effectively to beat Manchester City in the same way. So it's a completely different team now.
Yeah, and you've definitely got strength in your squad now. You've got players like, West Ham have been linked to Kolasinac.
Yeah,
I think there's a rumor that Arsenal are looking at potentially £9 million they're looking for. So certainly West Ham don't have money, so therefore that signing's going to take place. And then you've got Kieran Tierney as well. I mean, what you've got options back there, don't you? Really, you do.
You were bringing up earlier about how the fact we had 8 centre backs, and we do you've got Socrates still, you've got Mustafi and David Luiz, you've got Marie, the new boy Gabriel, we've got Holding, we got Chambers, you've got Mavropanos who went out on loan, and the thing is, we still get linked to centre back still as well. I don't expect it to be mental if we did, but they want to move players out. Kolasinac is one. I'd bite your arm off, as I said, for 10 million quid for Kolasinac. We need to move the guy on. You've got Tierney there, you've got Saka that can play wing back, you've got Maitland-Niles that's also playing there too. And then the centre-back area. You said about Mustafi and David Luiz, but actually David Luiz is one of the biggest reasons we won the FA Cup. He was absolutely brilliant against Man City and against Chelsea. And then Mustafi was like a revelation. So he was an utter revelation when Arteta came in. I'd still take a good fee for him because I think you probably got the best of what you'd ever see from him. And even then, he made a couple of errors, especially in the North London derby. But it is amazing to see Arteta take these players that Arsenal fans consider to be utter trash and turn them into these players that actually are Premier League quality, it seems. But it is more down to the manager, I feel, than anything else there.
So from the first game then, do you see many changes for the game coming up against West Ham than what you set out against Fulham? Or do you think Arteta looks at that and goes, we've demolished Fulham and we think that West Ham do you think Arsenal and Arteta look at West Ham like Fulham? Or am I underselling? Am I really
I think that the thing about Arteta is that Arsenal have changed from Emery. Emery took every game by game. He looked at every opposition and said, right, how do I set up and beat them? And that's one of the reasons why you were able to beat us last season under Emery, is because he thought too much about the opposition and he didn't think enough about what we actually needed to do to be ourselves. Arteta's changed that. He treats every game almost the same by just thinking about what is it we can do to be the best Arsenal that Arsenal can be. And that's how he's changed things. But in terms of how you think, or how we think we're going to set up, it's going to be very, very similar to what we saw against Fulham. There's 2 players I think that could be changed around. El Neni, who's been great, could be moved out for Ceballos to add a little bit more sort of edge in the midfield. And then you've got the centre-back option of Rob Holding. David Luiz has been past fit, supposedly, so he could come in for Rob Holding, because Gabriel, I can't see losing his place after a great debut against Fulham. So I think they're the 2 players you could look at for changes, but otherwise it's going to be Willian, Laka and Alba up top.
Before we move on, just a little bit, there was a rumour, and potentially is still a rumour, that, the transfer the market is still open. And a little cheeky rumour about Felipe Anderson potentially being linked to your club, potentially on a loan. First and foremost, what's your thoughts on that link? And secondary, as an Arsenal fan looking in at West Ham with the players we've got, like, what are your real thoughts towards the whole situation?
The link doesn't surprise me because I'm pretty sure his agent is Kia Jarabchin. I mean, please correct me if I'm wrong if you know, but I'm pretty sure that's who his agent is. And suddenly Kia's been very influential in Arsenal. He's brought in quite a few of his clients. He's brought in Cedric and David Luiz and Willian and Marie as well is one of his clients. And he's very good friends with Edu, our technical director. So it didn't surprise me to see the link, because I'm pretty sure that there is a connection between Kia and Felipe. But the link itself... He's a good player. I think I watched him a lot when he was at Lazio, and that was when he was really balling for him. And I just didn't think he would suit the Premier League. I just thought it was a really odd one to bring in. He was a really quality player. He was actually linked to Manchester United a year prior to moving to West Ham. And I just felt that his style, he scored a lot of goals in Serie A and he definitely created a lot, but I just didn't think he would translate too well to the Premier League. So when we were then linked to him, after I haven't really felt he's achieved his potential in East London, I just didn't think that he would be the right guy for Arsenal
Yeah.
to kind of take over, and it would have purely been a depth reason. I mean, he's not. I mean, he's a left winger, right? He's mainly playing out on the left. So Aubameyang's there, and you're never gonna take that position from him. So it was a really odd one for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, Tom, it's been absolutely great having you on. Any Arsenal fans that are watching, go across and look at the Gunner Talk TV. If you're a West Ham fan, then go. Of course, if you want to go and watch some Arsenal content, then more than welcome to do that. But what, Matt? Have you got anything before we go on to predictions for the game from yourself, Tom? Matt, have you got anything you want to add to the Arsenal situation?
As I was saying, I think they're going places now. I think they are actually finally going back in the right direction. I know they've brought in Edu and they seem to be linked with anyone that's now Brazilian, and I couldn't see the Anderson deal going because, like you said, it doesn't make any sense to go on loan as a backup player because that's all he would have been. But I really, really hope they stick with Arteta because the football they're playing and the direction they're going now, they're a bit like Lampard's going at Chelsea. I don't know if Arsenal spend that money. I know they don't spend stupid amounts of money like Chelsea, but if they back him and they stick with him, I think they're going to go place this year. For me, I think they'll be a top 4 team this year. I can see it from the way they're playing and what he's done in that short space of time. Nothing like us, but it's exciting times for Arsenal.
Absolutely. Tom, what's your predictions for the game? So it's live in front of the cameras tomorrow night. We will be bringing to you a match day live, of course, so make sure you do subscribe to the channel, keep an eye on it, and keep the comments and hit the thumbs up and all that malarkey. But Tom, predictions for tomorrow night?
I feel like I'm a tiger that's got his foot on a gazelle's neck at this point. I'm going to go with a 3-0 win. I think that I'm sorry. I can't be anything.
Hold on a second, mate. Hold on. Oh, he's gone. We won't bring him back on.
Oh, dear me. Yeah, no, I'm going to go with 3-0. I just think that the attacking verve that we've got right now and the free-flowing football we're playing and the defensive solidity that we've got marries a really sort of strong attacking display. So, yeah, I'm sorry, lads. But I genuinely wish you the best for the season because I want to see you stay up because I think there's real potential in that West Ham team with the players like Bowen, like I mentioned. There's potential there. It just needs to be unlocked properly, and that's the main thing.
So I get by that then the most player maybe you fear is Jared Bowen, to be honest, from everything you're saying.
Yeah, genuinely. I think he's quality. Genuinely think he was a really great buy.
Yeah, absolutely. So definitely signings West Ham need to be making. But like I said, Tom, thank you very much for coming on the channel. Myself and Matt are just going to go ahead and have a little general chit chat about West Ham and how we see it going. And definitely when you're off, we'll predict some crazy scores that West Ham will beat you 5-0, etc. So go and subscribe to the Gunner Talk TV. And Tom, again, thanks, mate. And we'll have you on and hopefully speak to you over the coming season as well.
Of course, mate. Good luck, lads. See you later,
Take
boys.
it easy, mate.
Cheers,
Thank you. Bye-bye. It's always really interesting, isn't it, Matt? Again, we've done the couple of previews this season, but it's so interesting to see the opposition fans see what we are feeling.
It just gives us that assurance that forget all the BS that they're talking, that comes out of the media, Sky, the papers, TalkSport. Oh, West Ham fans are really, making a mountain out of a molehill. It's not that bad. 2 weeks running, we've had a Newcastle fan on and an Arsenal fan on. Entirely different scenarios. Different ownership, different places in the team right now, and they both said the same thing. It's the owners. You need the potential's there. You've got it, but you need more. You need to change it, and it's nice to see that it's not just us. Because I said last week, as your own fan, your own club, you do get in that, the West Ham bubble, and we only see West Ham stuff. So when you get fans like from Arsenal that go, no, the owners aren't this, it's that, you need to do this. It gives you reassurance that no, you're not wrong, we are right. And yeah, it's interesting to see that he picked up Bowen because, a lot of teams were supposedly linked to him last year, and I think we should get more from him. It's an interesting one. I mean, last week the Newcastle fan picked out Anderson, who didn't even really feature at all, and this week he's picked out Bowen. So we can see yet again though that we're worried about our attackers, not our defenders. He's not worried about our defence.
Absolutely. Well, listen, this will be the 143rd meeting between the two sides. Arsenal taking 68 of those victories versus West Ham's 35. And only, like you said, Matt, one in the last 10. So it's not for good reading, but we are in the situation that we're in. And sometimes when backs are against the wall, West Ham sometimes turn up to the occasion and try and bring something. Now, West Ham are desperate, Matt, we need to get points on the table. We don't want to do another season where we go 4 or 5 games where we don't win a game. Newcastle was a good opportunity to get points on the table. We've got a hard run-in coming up, but we do have Arsenal, who are bouncing back. Arteta's changing things. Aubameyang's coming off a new contract. He's buzzing. He's got goals in him, left, right, and centre. The forward line has got goals in them, etc. But let's get on to West Ham. We've come off a nice little victory in midweek, and we all feel a little bit like, yeah, we've taken the crap off our shoulders, and it's time to think positive thoughts and etc. One of the kind of positive talking points from the game in particular was Seb Haller, who banged down a brace. And between pre-season and the Carabao Cup, and because he never started the Newcastle game, he's looked lively. He's got 4 goals. 5 goals. Sorry, I should say. What do you think he's got to really knock at the door for a starting spot?
Well, I mean, we'll get to team news later, but I would entirely change the system up for the Arsenal game, and I would start him with Antonio.
Right.
I would start Haller up front with Antonio. I think he's got to start, I know it was Charlton and but, lo and behold, we never crossed the ball. And they put Haller up front against Charlton. A cross come in and, look, he won the header and scored.
Yeah.
And it's the game that we won. We lost 1-0 back in, post-lockdown. Well, it was just before, wasn't it? It was in March, just before the lockdown. We lost 1-0 and we should have, bare minimum, got a point out of the game. And we played Haller Antonio up front, and they're causing problems. For me, Haller is in scoring form. He looks like he's up for it. He wants to do stuff. So I would give him a run out, because what have you got to lose? Like, we've come into this run of games again where, much like at the start of post-lockdown, we had this run of games where Moyes now can Moyes is in a no-lose situation, because no one's expecting us to get anything. Like, these next 6 games, if we get any points, he's done well. We're playing basically the last year's top 6, or 6 of the top 7, shall we say. So no one's realistically, the pundits aren't expecting Moyes to get anything. So if he changes up the tactics, changes formation or whatever, has a go, we lose, all you're going to say is, maybe the tactic got that wrong, but you're not going to be going, you threw away the points by making a mistake. He's got nothing to lose. So for me, Haller being in form, looks like he's interested again, putting a bit of effort in, put him up front with Antonio and see what happens. Yeah.
Definitely, I think. There's. It's something needs to change. To be honest, Matt, we've gone through how many seasons of saying we need to outscore our defence, but it's inevitable that we cannot rely on Antonio every season to chop and change positions. And I think it's fantastic that he's done what he did in Project Restart, and fantastic what he's done in his West Ham career. And I'm not even giving you, this is not me building up a speech to say to drop Antonio, but we cannot solely rely on a non-striker to be our striker for our foreseeable future. And we've got a player like Haller sitting on the bench, and it's interesting that Tom, is aware that, I think Haller has got something about him. And I think as long as we play to strengths, I don't know how many times, sometimes I feel like we repeat ourselves in these previews.
Cross the ball. That's it.
Yeah,
he don't need he scored. That's it. Just put crosses in the box,
and that's all. And again, trying to be respectful to the opposition that we played midweek, Carabao Cup, Charlton, and then the opposition against Ipswich in the pre-season friendlies. But the ball was just crossed into the box, and he was on the end of it, and giving him options and giving him chances is all he's crying out for. Now, he does look lively. I'll give him that. He looks a lot more, like you said, interesting. It's a little bit like, we ain't selling you, mate. There's no point. No club's going to come in and pay a fee that's even remotely going to be interesting. And I'm just hoping that's not the conversations that take place, because that's such a negative conversation. But that it's shown that he's potentially going to be interested. But anyway, let's move on ever so slightly. Some team news coming in is that maybe that Mark Noble might miss the game because I think he's done something to his toe. Do you think if he hadn't have injured his toe, that he may quite possibly have not played this game? Or we go back to the preview we did with the Newcastle fan. You know, we said that we go every season, every 2 or 3 games by saying Noble will probably be dropped. But when the team news comes in, he'll be in the side. Do you think there's a genuine case that if he's fit or not, if he was fit, he would have played, or if he wasn't fit?
Yeah, see, I'm one of these ones that, as I said, Moyes doesn't really like rocking the boat, does he? Moyes is one of the ones, he has his favourites and they play regardless. And I'm sort of looking at it thinking, if Noble was fit, he'd probably play.
But let's be honest, though, with the side that played against Newcastle, can that side play against a team like Arsenal who have got momentum? You know, we know they've got defensive frailties. Arsenal, you know, that's their weak point. If they had to find a weak point, that is their weak point. If West Ham are going to have to, you know, we fear that Arsenal will score goals. Surely to God, Matt, we've got to put the pressure on their defence. And by putting the pressure on their defence, albeit I love Mark Noble, I think he's great. He's played well in the central attacking midfielder role. But is this an opportunity now for West Ham to bring in someone like Lanzini, Anderson into that role in the middle? I mean, let's talk about Snodgrass. He's not played a game since February, and he came on and he had a good performance in the middle of the week.
I think Noble would have started had he been fit. I don't think he should start, and I'm kind of glad that he's 50-50 because it means he probably won't start. Snoddy, obviously, they were hoping he could have been back at maybe in the post-lockdown, you know, but he couldn't quite make it. He's 33 now. He's not going to run up and down all day, but he's one of the ones that he'll give you what he's got, you know, regardless of how much he's got. You know, Snoddy's always going to give you 110%. He'll always get a 7 out of 10 from him.
Yeah.
Because he's always put a shift in. That's something West Ham fans always want. Just put a shift in. Give it your all, and if your all's not enough when you gave it your all, and you know with Snoddy you'll get that. But he's still got the left foot as well, you know. I can see him having a big impact coming off the bench this year.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll start. I mean, as for that position Noble was in, you know, you said Lanzini stepped up in the week. Again, I know it was only Charlton, but he looked like he was interested and back to it again, as did Anderson. You could play either of them in that not to say the Noble role, but I also have a feeling he might play Cullen there.
Do you think Cullen's done enough? I mean, he had a great performance.
He's the one that's been getting a lot of praise. I mean, even Snodgrass come out on the post-match and was praising up Cullen. And because he does the different, don't get me wrong, I think if you're talking about an attacking midfielder, Lanzini and Anderson, probably a lot better, both a lot better than Cullen. But he doesn't seem to want an out-and-out attacking midfielder in that position that Noble's playing. He wants someone that's going to get up and down the pitch and dictate and pass the ball about. Not necessarily always aggressively going forward, but they'll be part of the team and keep ticking over, which is something Cullen can do. And like I said, this is a perfect example. You know, it's prime time, these 6 games, to try something like give Cullen a run out, because if it's crap, well, it's not matter because you weren't expected to get anything anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah. I'd like to see Anderson there, but again, dusty defensive David Moyes. I can't see him playing Anderson there.
No, absolutely. But I mean, Josh Cullen did have a good performance against Charlton midweek, and he set up 2 of the goals, and he looks like I mean, you know, it's make or break season for him again. We're repeating ourselves with him, but I tell you what, Matt. Before we go on to naming our starting 11, just remember we are live. Keep your comments coming in below. So, before we go on to naming our starting 11, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Beside the button should be a little bell notification. You click that. That lets you know when all our videos come out, what stage they're coming out, if they're coming out later on that day or in the coming weeks. Again, hit the thumbs up. Just lets us know if you like the video. If you don't like the video, hit the thumbs down and leave a comment. And, you know, if this is out live, leave the comment. If it's out pre-recorded, leave a comment. We'll try our best to reply to them all. And we do appreciate everyone watching the channel. Matt, we are on to our predictions for our starting 11. Now, we done it last week. I'm trying to remember. I thought we'd done all right, to be honest. I think
I think we got
most of it.
I think we got
I think
10 out of 11.
Maybe the only one we didn't get was maybe Johnson and Fredericks, maybe, was it?
Yeah, because we said Johnson and Frederick started.
Yeah. So get your comments in with your starting 11, Matt. Fabianski.
So do you want the team I want to play or the team I think will play?
Let's go for the team. Let's go for the team that we think will play. So let's do the blatant obvious role. Fabianski, yes. Let's do. Are we going for a formation?
I'm assuming it's going to be the weird 4-3-3 thing that he plays. 4-5-1, 4-3-3 thing. So,
do you think there's going to be a change with Creswell and Masuaku?
He doesn't like him, does he? It's abundantly clear. Moyes doesn't like him anymore. But the legs is just going to kill him. I suppose, unless he gets lucky and Williams stays on that side the whole time, then Creswell might be all right because the only thing Williams not got is pace.
I think it's Cressy, mate. I think he's staying.
So it's realistically probably looking at Creswell, Ogbonna, Diop, Fredericks because Fredericks started the last game.
I just don't see why. I don't dislike Fredericks in any way, but I'm more excited about Johnson being our youth prospect, and I think he's got enough there to come back into the side. And I think something does need to change. Listen, we all know something needs to change in our defence and quite a lot of the positions back there. But Balbuena did start against Charlton, and to be honest with you, I ripped into Balbuena during the pre-season against Ipswich in particular, and he was playing alongside Alessi, who looked like the more seasoned pro. But Balbuena had a good game. And again, I know it's League One opposition, but I don't know if there was a kind of bit of a temptation there to see, because Diop and Ogbonna are so similar, Matt, that maybe there's that position. But then, we could be sitting here talking about 5 or 6 changes, and I don't see West Ham making 5 or 6 changes.
No.
So I'm probably in agreement with you. Diop, Ogbonna. I'm going to say Johnson. I see why you're saying Fredericks, and then Creswell. Midfield.
I'm going to say...
Hold on. All right, no, go midfield. Do it. Go midfield.
The 3, because we always play the 3 midfield. The 3 in the middle. I'm going to say that it will be Rice, Souček, and Cullen. If Noble's not fit, I think he'll play Cullen.
Okay, it's a big...
Because he's going to go... He's not going to want, especially against Arsenal, he's not going to want the big, expansive attacking player that doesn't track back. He's going to want someone that's going to play a like-for-like role. The only other option I could see is it'd be Snodgrass.
Yeah.
It'd be Snodgrass or Cullen will play that middle role because they're the ones that will do most like-for-like to what Noble would do. In terms of the running, the tackling, the commitment, the tracking back. Because Lanzini and Anderson won't do it.
Yeah. So, Cullen, then we're going with Antonio, Bowen, and Haller up top.
Yeah.
So, Fornals drops to the bench. Noble drops to the bench.
You could say Fornals.
I can't put Fornals in. I'm sorry. I'll be brutally honest. I like him. Listen, I like him. I think he's got so much potential. I think that last season he hit form and then he was dropped unnecessarily. Then we brought him back into the side, hit form, and he was dropped again unnecessarily. And I just think it's going to take time for him to find form. And I think there's other players that potentially deserve to start ahead of him. You could be looking at players like Yarmolenko. You could be looking at players like Felipe Anderson, Lanzini. We haven't even mentioned the 3 of them. I was
going to say you could see Fornals in that middle role in Noble's position.
I think
because he runs, he tracks back and puts the effort in.
He does, yeah, but he didn't really show that against Newcastle, and I think he was probably one of the quietest players in Project Restart. There was other players there that kind of took over, but I think we've got a bit of momentum from the game against Charlton because we need to take that. We need to grab any form of momentum we possibly can, Matt. And I just don't know if Fornals is. I think that's a position we could strengthen elsewhere. We could use other players for. So, I mean, I'll accept that. I would like to see maybe Souček and Rice covering in behind someone who's going to be a number 10 because I can actually.
I would like to see Anderson playing there, but I just against Arsenal, I can't see it.
Could you picture this though, Matt? You've got the protection of Souček and Rice in behind Anderson with Antonio out one wing, Bowen out the right, and Haller in front of him. Like there's options there. There's a penetration of Anderson through the middle and the penetration of Antonio doing that free roll, and then you've got Bowen crossing the balls in, and then you've got the substitution options of Lanzini and Yarmolenko. And I mean, it's just given us options for Hilaire up top and support up there. But
I would love to play that way. And I think if Moyes is still in charge after this run of 6 games, that's a very realistic option.
Yeah.
What the team you just said, that like supposed front four, should we say, of Anderson in behind and Bowen and Antonio either side of Haller.
Yeah.
But for Arsenal,
well, we'll see.
Yeah.
We will see.
I think Fornals is definitely a shout for dropping because, like you said, he wasn't very good against Newcastle. And when you've got options on the wing, and it's easy enough just to move Antonio out onto one of the wings, and then put Haller into the middle, I think it's a real good shout for what we probably will see. Because I can only see him making 1 or 2 changes, in which case I think if Noble's out, he'll bring someone in, and Fornals just to give him something more direct and dynamic on the wing.
Yeah. Well, let's have some hope that maybe there are some changes, because I think some changes need to be made, and fingers crossed we can maybe see some of them that's going to be more of a positive option. Now, listen, we're going to go on to everyone's favourite time of the show. Everywhere, I'm forever blowing bubbles. Everyone slags me off because I can't sing the song without putting on a Cockney accent, but I can justify it because my dad's a Cockney, so that's how we do it, and I'm known as the Jockney. Anyway, Matt, it's predictions. Get your comments in. Let us know your predictions for the game against Arsenal at the Emirates, live in front of the cameras.
Well, I got this horribly wrong last week.
Tom said the Gunnar from Gunnar Talk TV said 3-0 Arsenal. So come on, Matt.
You know what? If I was a neutral, I'd probably take that score. But I'm going to go. I'm going to go for the same score I said last week. I'm going to go for a 2-2.
2-2. Oh, what do I do? Where do I go? Listen, I'm starting to get the name as the proper outside bet. You know, sometimes it doesn't come in often, but when it does come in, you fucking never stop talking about it. So I'm gonna go. It's my kind of go-to score. I can't say that score because I don't think we'll score that many at the Emirates. But I think they'll score, and I don't want to predict a draw because I have to predict a victory for West Ham. So I think I'm just going to have to go with a 2-1 West Ham win. I don't think it will be that, but I'm going to just say that because I think there'll be a lot more goals from both ends.
See, I've gone for a 2-2, but...
Yeah. Because I really wanted to see 3-2 West Ham, but I really can't see us scoring 3 goals at the Emirates. The only way I can see us scoring 3 goals at the Emirates is if we play a 10 in behind Hilaire, Antonio and Bowen on the wings.
I can see us scoring 3 goals if, like Tom said, they bring back David Luiz because he's absolutely awful.
Well, I'll tell you what then. I take back my 2-1. Are you ready for this? I am going to go for a 3-2 victory at the Emirates to West Ham. Why not? 3 points. I'll take that. That'll kickstart our season and off we go again. Listen, I've not been drinking. I've certainly not been drinking. Maybe I've got lack of sleep though because I've got 2 kids under the age of 4 who are maybe not sleeping that well. So maybe that could be doing it. Matt, that's our preview. We've wrapped it up just in under 50 minutes. We're on a record, I think. We're actually doing really well. Last kind of couple of words before you go.
Oh, let's try and be positive. Let's try and take, don't get up in arms if we lose because this is a game where you're looking for performance, I don't think the result's going to be... The performance is more important to take on going forward. Our history in this result shows we're probably not going to get much out of it. So let's look for performances and hopefully we can build on performance to go forward and get something against Tottenham or Chelsea. Or, sorry, Tottenham or... Well, we got Tottenham United, Wolves, Leicester.
Listen, we need to remain positive, as Matt says. We're West Ham fans at the end of the day, and you never know, we could have new owners by the time the next couple of games come up. But we'll save that. We'll save that for another show. Listen, Matt, you never know, we may have some new players by the time we come back to you for a preview.
Tomorrow night, players for this game, won't we? But that's not happened.
Tomorrow night, we are coming to you with a match day live. Make sure you tune in. We'll come to you a good solid hour before kick-off. We'll have a general chit-chat with people coming on. If you want to have a drink, join us, whatever, let us know. we'll try and get you on the show. But yeah, Match Day Live. Hopefully, we'll be reporting something a bit of fun. We don't take it too serious. We do have a bit of banter. So come across and see what we're up to on the channel. Anyway, subscribe, comment, hit the thumbs up. And he has been Matt. Where is he? He's there. There he is. I've been Anton. This is Irons United. And get behind West Ham. Come on, you Irons!